So how much do you charge?
Well, that's always the question everybody wants to know. How much is this going to cost? And I really think most people are hoping to, pay not too much money for an estate plan. And certainly there are estate plans that are out there that are cheap. And I think estate planning is sort of like buying a vehicle. If you buy, the cheapest vehicle you can get you to and from would be a bicycle. And if you don't have to travel too far, that might be adequate. And a bicycle, sort of like a will, if you don't have much money, a will might be more than adequate, and that shouldn't cost too much money. But most people don't need just a will, and they don't need a bicycle. They need some kind of motor vehicle. So they need a car. So you can get a car that kind of gets you to and from, and that doesn't cost much, that may break down. And those are usually those cheap living trusts that you see advertised. I don't do those ever, haven't ever done them. So, my plans start at kind of the equivalent of a Honda Civic. It's a good, solid plan, but it's going to be your Honda Civic, your Hyundai Elantra, your Toyota Corolla, that level of planning. So it's going to cost a little bit of money, and it's going to give you the basic planning. I always include some planning for not only what happens when you die, but what happens when you don't die. In every plan I do, I just don't do planning that doesn't do that, because my practice has so many people coming in that need a little bit more. So I start at a price that would be, the estate planning equivalent of a Honda Civic. So it might be, around $3,000. Then as you need more asset protection, you might need, something that is, fancier, that has all the bells and whistles. You might need, something more equivalent to your luxury car. And the asset protection planning I do is really a luxury plan. It plans and protects every asset you have and will qualify you for long-term care benefits, and that can get fairly expensive. The average cost I actually gauge it at the average cost of a nursing home. So the state tells me every year what the average pay rate for nursing homes in California is, and this year it's $8,092. So my average price is that, and that's to protect, for a married couple, a home and about $200,000 worth of assets that don't count for Medi-Cal. And for a single person, it's going to be more expensive because a single person only gets to keep $2,000, so their planning is always more expensive, which is counterintuitive because you would expect, well, it's only one person, it should be less. But if we're doing the Medi-Cal planning and veterans benefits planning, it's a lot more complicated to plan for a single person than a married couple, so that gets even more expensive. And then for families, and yes, I've qualified people who have multiple rental properties, who have businesses, who have homes for long-term care planning in a nursing home and protected all their assets. And that's, like buying kind of the most expensive Mercedes there is. But when you consider the fact that we may save $2 or $3 million, certainly it would be well worth it. So, the planning you need is based on, what kind of, protection you need. So the more protection you need, the more expensive it gets. And, it's hard to quote. I only give my basic plan and my average plan so people have an idea when they come in that if you're looking at that Medi-Cal planning, asset protection planning, you're probably going to be spending about $8,000, and that's for the married couple with about $200,000 in a house. And other people, it's going to be more, and so you aren't surprised when you walk in and go, oh no, I didn't expect to pay that. I thought I would only have to pay $500 because I saw an ad in some newspaper or on the radio for that cheapy trust. And I have not ever seen one of those trusts that wasn't the equivalent of a bicycle. And if somebody can show me one that isn't bicycle and it will adequately take care of all your needs, I would be more than happy to do all their planning for no charge.